What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to stay daily Ravens content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and hit the notification bell as well if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video. Now, in this video today, it is Monday. Once again, we are having another mock draft Monday. And guys, the final segment of our most recent Trust the Bank podcast recording will be out tomorrow, talking about potential edge rushers to sign in free agency. So if you guys want to get a listen to that early, you can check it out on the podcast platforms as well. If not, it'll be out tomorrow. Joshua and I are recording the next episode as well tomorrow. So that should be a lot of fun as well. Now, in other news about this week, guys, this is my mock draft, the no trades mock draft that I put out every single Monday. As always, I want to hear what you guys think. If you guys think it's a terrible mock draft, let me know. I actually really like this mock draft. The last couple I've done, I feel like I haven't been a huge fan of them. I'm a huge fan of this mock draft. I would say I'm proud of it. But if you guys don't like players that I select, say why you don't like them. Tell me players that you like, and I will look into them. I've looked into so many players, guys, that you guys have suggested, and I really thank you guys for doing so. But on Wednesday night's live stream, Joshua and I are also going to be doing a live with trades, mock draft, with you guys, seeing what you guys want us to do. So don't worry, that'll be there as well. So, normally we record it around 7:30, maybe 8 p.m. Eastern time. So if you guys want to check that out, please do so. But let's get into the mock draft already. Starting off at pick 14, guys, I went with George Karlaftis. Biggest thing I need to say, no Jermaine Johnson wasn't available. That's the biggest thing. Every time I feel like I draft Karlaftis, everyone's like, no, you should have gone with Jermaine Johnson. Guys, there was no option for me for Jermaine Johnson. He was gone. I think pick 10 it was, but he was not available. Okay. The only guy that I was contemplating was Charles Cross. He was available, but since we signed Morgan Moses, I really debated on that, but I ended up going with Karlaftis. I feel like it's a bigger need right now. I feel like it's the biggest need for the Ravens outside of other positions where we just need depth. As a starter, I think edge rusher is the biggest need for the Ravens. I addressed that with the first pick with Karlaftis. Second pick 45, I think it's the second biggest need of the Baltimore Ravens. It's cornerback. We have so few cornerbacks on this roster anymore. We need guys. And you guys are going to tell in this mock draft, I draft a lot of corners. I don't draft an absurd amount of corners. This isn't a 9-corner draft. But I did draft a lot of corners because we don't really have any corners on the roster. And we need guys that are cheap, and we need guys to plug and play because we don't know the future of Marcus Peters. Obviously, Marlon and Marcus are coming back from injury. We have Amon Marshall, who I'm still a big believer in. Amon Marshall. I love his game. If he's able to actually stay healthy, I really like him, and he could have a Deshaun Elliott type of season, when he gets, and if he plays the entire season this year. But I did draft a lot of corners. I like McCreary, out of Auburn, out of the SEC. He's battle tested. He's a press man type of corner. That's what the Ravens like to do. So I think McCreary would be a really good selection. Pick 76, I went with my favorite player in this draft, Troy Anderson. If you guys don't know about Troy Anderson, I was on Troy Anderson from the jump. Way before the combine, I was talking about him, and then he had an amazing combine, and I was kind of disappointed because he definitely jumped up draft boards with how great his combine was. Former quarterback, transitioned to linebacker after 2 years playing quarterback at Montana State, played linebacker, was an all-conference linebacker, crazy good athlete, great football IQ, lacking experience at linebacker. However, guys, remember, we have Mike McDonald now, former linebackers coach, and we've brought in Zachary Orr, former all-pro linebacker. And according to sources, Ravens gave Bobby Wagner a very competitive offer. That's all we know about it. But, I feel like he can just be a good guy to be behind Patrick Queen and Malik Harrison. And potentially if the Ravens bring in Bobby Wagner, he can be that final guy where he can definitely play on special teams, make an impact there. And then, in the future, be a contributor at linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens. Pick number 100, I went with Cole Strange, offensive lineman out of Chattanooga. Now, the biggest thing with Cole Strange was he's played a lot of positions. He's lined up at left guard. He's lined up at tackle. He's even lined up at center. So, with him, I feel like we have our offensive lineman set unless we are to draft a center in the first round or something like that, like if we went with Tyler Linderbaum. But it seems like the offensive line is going to be expected. Ronnie, Ben Powers, or Ben Cleveland. Patrick McCarry is expected at center, right guard Kevin Zeitler, right tackle Morgan Moses. That's the expected lineup. So we need depth. I feel like Cole Strange will be able to provide depth at tackle. He'll be able to provide depth mostly at guard, but also he does have experience playing the game at the collegiate level at center. So, end all be all, he could potentially do it. But I like having, versatile pieces on the offensive line for depth, just like how Patrick McCarry started his career, right? He was the backup center. Then all of a sudden he was playing center, and then he was playing tackle. He split a little bit of guard for the Ravens. I like having versatility in offensive line depth. Pick 110, I went with Josh Jobe. I love Josh Jobe as a corner, guys. He's coming out of Alabama. If you don't know about him, guys, when you come out of the University of Alabama, you get to play against the best wide receivers in college football. Former wide receivers at Alabama include former expected first-round pick, best receiver in the class, Jamison Williams, and then he got hurt. John Mechie, expected day 2 wide receiver. Previous years, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs. The list goes on and on. Henry Ruggs isn't a great guy. I don't like Henry Ruggs, but he did practice against him and practiced against NFL quality players at the University of Alabama, and not to mention the Heisman winner in Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle as well. He's got experience playing against NFL quality players, coming from a really good defense. The Ravens like to draft out of the University of Alabama. I feel like they go back and draft Josh Jobe if he's available for them to take, especially at pick 110. Pick 119, I went back to the edge rusher position. I know, guys, I got to this point and I was like, wow, I really haven't taken much offense outside of the offensive line with Cole Strange, but I really like what Isaiah Thomas is able to bring out of Oklahoma. Again, he's a versatile guy. He played both inside, he played outside. The Ravens don't know exactly what the future is at the defensive line. We brought in Michael Pierce. We have Justin Madubuike. We have Adafe. But we need those pieces that can play in a couple different spots as sub guys. Isaiah Thomas would be a much younger, less experienced version of like a Derek Wolfe, where Derek Wolfe is lined up on the inside, on the outside for the Ravens in different situations. Isaiah Thomas could come in and be able to do that. And that's what he's able to do at Oklahoma, is play all across the front and be productive there. So I like Isaiah Thomas, as a really good value pick. And then 128, I was like, guys, I got to go not tight end. I have to go offense. And I saw Alec Pierce was available. Alec Pierce, wide receiver out of Cincinnati. I felt like I had to pounce on that opportunity. No pun intended with the Cincinnati Bearcats right there. But Alec Pierce is an ex-wide receiver, 6'3", played with the NFL prospect, with Desmond Ridder at Cincinnati. A very productive player. Guys, that's what we need. We need an ex-wide receiver. Miles Boykin apparently, I'm not saying I'm counting out Miles Boykin, but I'm not expecting him to become the guy that we hoped he would be. So I feel like we should draft one. And if he gets beat out by, someone already in the, Ravens organization, for example, a Benjamin Victor of sorts, that's okay. We have 10 picks. Not all of our picks are going to make the roster. Now, I would expect Alec Pierce to make the roster. I'm not saying I'm drafting him to not make it, but I just want to preface, all of these selections and stuff like that is not all of these players are going to make the roster because of just how many picks we have. In previous years, we've had significantly less picks and they haven't all made the roster. Look at last year. We cut Mr. Ben Mason. We unfortunately don't get everybody to make the roster, but Alec Pierce, I would expect to make the roster. He's just a big body. He's an experienced, proven guy, coming out of college football in a productive offense, a very productive offense. So I do like him as a draft pick, as a wide receiver to bring in, just to bring that. And he did start his career off at special teams at Cincinnati, so he can at least contribute there as well. Pick 139, I think, is one of the biggest sleepers in this draft class. One of the biggest sleepers in this draft class, guys. I think he's the biggest sleeper on offense. I think the biggest sleeper on defense is Troy Anderson. The biggest sleeper on offense is Jalen Whittemire. Tight end out of Texas A&M. Guys, this is maybe the best pass-catching tight end in the draft. Remember when Mark Andrews wasn't the first pick tight end in the draft? Hayden Hurst was, because Mark Andrews wasn't a great blocker. He was just a vertical threat. He was a pass-catching demon. That's Jalen Whittemire, okay? we did with Mark Andrews, we made him into a very productive blocker, and he kept his pass catching skills. Jalen Whittemire could easily be our tight end 3 with phenomenal ball skills, really good route running, and develop into a much better blocker. And we would have one of the best, tight end duos in the NFL. One of the best tight end duos in the NFL, not just the NFL history. There's not a lot of tight end duos anyway. It's up there with, wow, I feel bad for bringing up these bad people's names. But, Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski as an example of a dominant tight end duo. Jalen Whittemire, Mark Andrews could be that type of duo on the field. Only on the field, guys. But next pick 141. I went with a fan favorite. I know you guys love him. I went with Kobe Bryant, cornerback out of Cincinnati. Went with 2 Cincinnati players. That was not intended, but, as it just happened to fall that way. Kobe Bryant, coming out of Cincinnati, playing across from Sauce Gardner, won the, national best corner of the year last year. He's not as athletically dominant as a Sauce Gardner, but he's got really good size. He can play press man coverage. He's experienced at the cornerback position. And the Ravens need cornerback depth. I drafted 3 corners in this draft, guys. And I think it's completely worth it. We know how valuable depth is at the cornerback spot. And I want to say we only have 4 corners on our roster as of right now. And 2 of them are coming off of significant injuries. We need depth, guys. So that's why I went with Kobe Bryant as well. I got 2 of my favorite cornerback prospects in Josh Jobe and Kobe Bryant. So I was really happy with that. Final pick 196. I went back to the offensive line. I went with Zach Tom, offensive tackle out of Wake Forest. Zach Tom, very similar to Cole Strange, is a versatile offensive line depth piece. Yes, he's listed as an offensive tackle. He has lined up all over. I just want to make sure that I don't say anything incorrectly, so I'm going to look at my notes right here. But he's played at center. He's played at tackle. That's what we need, right? Center depth, tackle depth. That's huge. I went with Cole Strange as a guard that's played a little bit at tackle and a little bit at center. Now I go with Zach Tom, a tackle who has played a little bit at center. Some guys are just versatile pieces that we need because we may only need them for a couple snaps. We may only need them for a game. And, in the 6th round, getting a guy that can be a depth piece on the offensive line, I think is valuable. So that's why I went with Zach Tom. Guys, let me know what you guys are thinking about this draft. I will remember last time I forgot to do it because I accidentally closed my tab and I didn't have my mock draft anymore, to put the mock draft in the comment section so you guys can comment on it and let me know what you guys think. But guys, if you have any mock drafts that you've done, let me know. List out your picks. Who did the Ravens take? And if you do them with trades, that's totally okay. Say what the trade was, stuff like that. I like to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe for Daily Ravens content. Like the video if you like the video. Check out the podcast. I'm doing so much plug right now. I feel like I got to end it, but I'm going to do one more. Check out the TikTok as well. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see all of you again with the final segment of our recent podcast episode tomorrow.